The year was 2016. I was an entrepreneur running a business that had won 5 industry awards. I had my name in the New York Times. I was in over 100 publications, and I was miserable. So I closed the business and I walked away. Big decision, right? And if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that it's probably because you're feeling like something is wrong and you're wondering if it's time to quit. So first, I want to give you permission. And not exactly permission to quit your business, but permission to abandon toxic positivity. And toxic positivity, if you're not aware, is this movement of people who say just push through and don't listen to those negative feelings. Just put on a happy face and manifest positivity. Let the universe provide for you. And that's all great. But when your American Express bill is looking you in the face, the universe isn't the one that has to pay that bill. It's you. Just speaking out of my own experience, there comes a time when you hit this tipping point of, am I staying in this business? Am I still running this business because I'm stubborn or because I'm scared of what people will think or what they'll say? And if that's true, why? Why do I care so much? And I think when I hit that tipping point in 2016, it was freeing. When I made the decision that I was ready to move on from this albatross of business that I had created, it was so exciting to me, the idea of new possibilities. And so that's why I want to de-shame the feelings of quitting or failure. I failed in that business so many times. My first 2 trade shows, they're like $3,000 back then. They're much more expensive now, but they were $3,000 just for the space. And then you have to fill it with furniture and people and products and catalogs and things. And I used Kickstarter to get my first trade show funded. And I got it, thankfully. But it was still like, I think $5,000 or something like that total. And I didn't get 1 order at all at the show. Oh man, I remember coming home and crying on my husband's shoulder, just having him hug me while I cried. I was so disappointed and so hurt. And yeah, that was a big failure, but I got past it. Here I am today. I don't even have that business anymore. It doesn't matter to me. And it's just kind of funny the way that life changes and you pivot, but you only pivot and change when you let yourself change and when you let yourself feel those feelings. I had a friend who was in the same line as me and her business wasn't doing well. We were commiserating together and she said that she couldn't quit. She couldn't quit because people we knew that were competitors, but friendly, like it wasn't, I didn't think it was catty. She was afraid that they were going to talk about her. And so she couldn't quit. And she still hasn't. I think her business is still going strong and good for her that her business is still going, but I hope she's happy because she didn't sound happy back then. And I can't imagine living my life for someone else when they don't have anything to do with my life and they don't pay my bills. And that became a big mantra for me, is that if they don't pay my Amex bill, they don't matter, or their opinion doesn't matter. And that's why I think that quitting something is not a failure. I have failed and I have quit, but they're not the one and the same. To me, quitting says, I deserve better. This isn't acceptable anymore, and I want something else, so I am going to move on. That, to me, is so much more powerful than sticking it out just for the sake of sticking it out. That's why? Who are you trying to prove this to? I used to be someone who did all the packaging, all the marketing, all the customer service, all the shipping, logistics, everything, because I didn't want to let anybody in. I didn't want to let anybody in to see the clusterfuck of a business I had been running, but also I wanted people to think, she's so busy. Oh my God, she's busy all the time. Nobody thought that. Everyone thought, like, I don't know what everyone thought. They probably thought was like, why is she doing all this? Why doesn't she have someone help her? And when I burned out and closed my business, of course I burned out and closed my business. Look at all the work that I was doing that I didn't need to do. But I felt like I had to be busy, which was such a cop-out. And I hope that's not what you're thinking too, that you feel like you have to be X in front of everyone, because everyone doesn't matter. Can I tell you, the day that I closed my business officially, like the day day that I left my studio for the last time. I had a tiny, tiny 100 square foot studio. It was all I could afford. And I remember the last moment, like when I was about to close the steel door behind me, and I was like, I should probably look back. Like, that's something you should do, is like look back and reflect. So I did, and it was like a good breakup where I felt nothing. There was no like, oh, or sadness or nostalgia. There was just a like, all right, well, I did it, time to go. And I tell you that if I had been more coordinated, I would have skipped back to the subway. I was so excited to be free, and I want that for you. If you're here, I'm worried that you're here watching this because you feel like you have to keep going on, when doing something different would be so much better for you. And I know that because it happened to me too. In my opinion and in my experience, walking away from something is a step forward and not backward. As an example, my husband and I moved out of New York City to upstate New York because we wanted better. We wanted a house and we wanted a dog, and we couldn't really, like, you can have a dog, but we just didn't want a dog in an apartment. We wanted the yard for it, and we wanted that life, and New York City wasn't gonna give us that life, so we knew it was time to move on. And I think that some people get really sensitive about that, especially in New York City. I've talked to entrepreneurs who are like, I would never leave New York. I think it's the center of the universe. And just like, okay, good for you. It wasn't for me. It was time to walk away and go on to something better. And that's what we did. So if you've been thinking about, let me give you one more argument in favor of you making that choice that you've been thinking about to quit or to walk away from your business. And that is, I had so many new opportunities available to me once I did that. My story about walking away from my business was featured in Huffington Post. Ariana Huffington wrote back to me, and I wish I had it. It drives me crazy that I don't have this. I had pitched her my story, and she had written back to me and said, we'd love to feature it. And I became a Huffington Post contributor because of that. And now I get to be a business strategist who talks to you. And now I get to do it in my house with my dog and my husband. I wouldn't have had that life if I had stuck to my stubbornness and pushed through my soap business. That seems like such a foreign life to me now, and one that was so miserable looking back, because I made it miserable and I deserved better. So I went and got that better. And that's what I want for you too. Normally I would tell you that, you know, you should watch this next video because it'll give you some clarity into something else. But I think instead, what I think you should do is rewatch this and think about what it is that brought you to watch this video. Look at it with that lens. You know, I haven't been really happy lately, or my debt is getting so out of control because of this, or my husband says I'm angry all the time because of my business. Whatever got you here, think about that and rewatch this and see if you can't come to a decision. I hope you do. I hope you figure out what it is you're looking for, because I believe you can do it, whatever it is. And I'll see you in the next video.